John, I want to talk to you about the transfers that Oregon has recently brought in. Two so far. They also signed a punter. We don't need to get into that specifically. I'll talk about that more on tomorrow's show and why that could end up being important. But a couple players at key positions: a linebacker, Jestin Jacobs from Iowa, wide receiver Traeshon Holden from Alabama. I look at those two guys, I look at Oregon's roster and say, yeah, kind of seems like those are going to be day one starters, especially Holden, but I think Jacobs fits that mold as well. You know each of these guys pretty well. You've covered them for a long time. Let's start with Jacobs on the more pressing side of in need of improvement for Oregon, and that's defense. What can he bring to the table if he's able to stay healthy, which unfortunately he wasn't able to this year at Iowa?
Yeah, that's certainly, area one to dig into there. Hopefully he's rounding into shape and he'll be good to go up at Oregon this spring. But on the field, there's a lot to like about Jensen. He is a very modern linebacker, but he's got a classic build. He's 6'4", 240. He's a big physical
He's tall.
prospect.
This seems very tall for a linebacker.
Right, but he's got almost this hybrid safety type of game, which is really fascinating. Very comfortable in coverage. He backed up Dane Belton while he was at Iowa. Dane Belton's like a star rookie for the New York Giants this year as a hybrid safety type. So Iowa's got this cash position that is a true hybrid where you're working downhill against the run, but you're also very much involved in the coverage plan. So that versatility and athleticism and length, as you mentioned, with how tall he is, 6'4", 6'5", will absolutely help any defense that he joins. I think it could help close the gap just in between transitioning from one group to the next. Obviously, a lot of linebacker turnover at Oregon, and that's easy to see for me from afar, right? With Flo in the portal, I guess Sewell, we're still waiting to see what that looks like. You need some versatility and athleticism at that spot anyway. So I do think that he's a strong fit. And sometimes these guys, especially after an injury, just need a breath of fresh air. A new aggressive scheme on top of it, I think, always helps. So I expect him to be a really fun bounce back, comeback player of the year type of addition to the Ducks here last minute. And then with Holden, just a lot of consistency. Not the flashiest, not the biggest, not the fastest, but he's got a great catch radius at 6'2", 6'3". He's built well at just over 200 pounds. He can work inside or outside. He blocks well. He's just going to be the steady force. You've got plenty of guys with the downfield juice, like your Troy Franklins of the world, but you need the 3rd and 6, catch it in traffic in front of the safety, behind the linebacker kind of guy. And I think Traeshon Holden brings a lot of that. And he gets to go back to the West Coast. He came up in the Los Angeles area playing 7-on-7 ball with Bryce Young. So now he gets to go back to the West Coast and really try to showcase his own ability here before he has an opportunity maybe to play on Sundays. And I think this offense, I know this offense has shown a true explosiveness that a lot of schools haven't been able to. So I think that'll be a nice counter to the conventional that Oregon has been able to put on the field, and he'll stabilize that receiver room pretty much immediately.
I think he fits pretty nicely into what Chase Cota was this year, a guy who lined up
Very good. Yep.
inside and outside. They took a couple downfield shots, but a lot of what Chase Cota did was 3rd and 6. We're going to give you an option route in that 5-wide look that Dillingham would roll out and say, go beat a safety or a nickel or maybe even a linebacker one-on-one and just go find that sort of opening. But one other guy that played a lot this season for the Ducks was Dante Thornton. He, of course, is leaving the program, via the transfer portal. He was a big play sort of guy. Like he
Yes.
came in when Cota was not there, but Thornton was more downfield and Cota was a little bit more around the first down, right? Just like get me a first down, run a route that's, 7 to 15 yards down the field. Do you think Holden is capable of doing a little bit of both, or do you think he has a strength that caters more heavily towards playing like one of those receivers than the other?
Yeah, I think the Coda comp is good to bring up here because there's a polish to Holden's game as a route runner, very comfortable against the pressure at the line of scrimmage and at the catch point simultaneously. So he's an in the margins kind of guy. He's going to win those option routes. He's smart. He's experienced, which is really important when you're bringing in transfer portal players. And let's remember, with this new offense or tweaked offense under Stein, it's very receiver friendly. So you could understand why receivers are going to want to come play for Oregon, maybe even more so than they did for Kenny Dillingham. This is a receivers coach who's turned OC, which is not something we always see in the college football lexicon. So I think that's another reason why Holden made this move, because there's going to be an element of both priority and ball distribution that will allow multiple receivers to truly thrive. But I think at the core of this role that Holden will occupy, I think it's going to be showcasing the polish and being that steady ship and not being the flashy guy over the top. Although you will get some of that on occasion, up the seam, wheel routes, double moves, things like that Holden has already shown to be successful with.
And that's exactly what Chase Cota was this year. He was just steady. I can't remember a single ball that he dropped. I thought his blocking kind of came and went, and I think Holden is a little bit more built for that. He's bigger than Cota. He's a little bit taller. He looks like, John, if he were to, decide to put on 20 pounds, like he could play tight end. Does it? He is really, really thick in his upper body, and I think he presents a lot of upside for the Ducks. And the notes you had on Jacobs I find fascinating, because I saw his body type and I hadn't been able to find too much film because he hasn't played a ton in college to this point. 6'4", 250. I thought linebacker, potentially an edge player as well. Like, is that a guy
physically?
So he's a guy. He's like Isaiah Simmons light, essentially.
Right.
He could play at all three levels of the defense.
Yes, he's got some Sunday juice to him. He just needs more tape. If he came out in the draft this year, he would get a sniff, even though he has so much or so little experience. I think he's that athletically gifted. But now if he can put it all together on tape with a school like Oregon, he's going to elevate that profile in a pretty big way. And I think that's part of the reason why he made this move. But yeah, he could conceivably line up on the line of scrimmage at the second level and borderline third level on 3 consecutive plays. He is that athletic and aware. I mean, he's got a polish to him as well. We just, again, didn't get to see it on full display the year he was supposed to take that next step, because
that was this season. Yeah. Iowa had high hopes for him this year. We've got high hopes on the recruiting trail here amongst us as Duck fans, which is why we'll keep bringing on our Locked On Recruiting Insider here at the network, John Garcia Jr. Always great to talk to you, man.
Likewise, Spencer. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate everyone listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, go Ducks.